Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore travel, stories, and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this episode we're diving into a country. So each season we feature different countries to highlight, whether it be randomly spinning on the globe, fan choice, or featuring a local from a certain country and hearing their perspective. You can have a say in the next country featured by following our Instagram at culturecultshow. Also, remember to comment, rate, and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening on. Cheers and enjoy! Hey y'all, welcome back to the show today. We are doing episode 1 out of 2 episodes for the season finale, and it's our last country this season. It was also a fan pick. A fan asked for French Polynesia, and I loved learning about these islands. There was actually a lot of stories to cover. It was pretty hard to narrow it down, but the main theme is going to be colonization, just kind of like two worlds meeting for both of these stories. So in today's episode, we're going to cover how people got all the way to the middle of the ocean and settled on these islands, and one of the most famous mutinies for the British Navy, the HMS Bounty, and what happened when European colonizers thought they found paradise. So to help me tell both of these episodes, I have cousin Grace, or Gravy as I like to call her.
Hi, I'm back.
She's back. She was on the toilet flush fiasco travel story episode.
Yes, that was me.
That was you. So if you haven't listened to that one, that was actually a really funny episode. It's early in the season, so you're back. I also wanted to say, sorry, my voice sounds like messed up. I've been working in restaurants again, and the restaurant I work at is so loud, so I'm screaming at my tables. And
honestly, my voice is probably trash today too, because I was drinking all day yesterday.
So I hope you're into the raspy, the raspy vibes.
It's the raspy voice episode.
But okay, this is a pretty big episode, so let's just jump right into it. Can you tell me anything off the top of your head with the Polynesian islands?
I know absolutely nothing. So this is going to be very educational for me.
Hell yeah.
I have zero history knowledge about French Polynesia.
Okay, cool. I'm so excited. That's even better.
Very excited.
Yes. Okay, so I didn't really know anything about it. I mean, I just assumed it's very pretty, and it's just like, oh, pretty island, and it's very beautiful. If you look it up, it's just like a million photos of people taking TikTok videos and YouTube videos. Yeah, look it up. It's just half naked people sitting in bungalows, like in Tahiti.
Sounds like the place I need to be.
Yeah. So, but I was also like, okay, there has to be so much more to these islands,
Oh my gosh. This is beautiful.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
Little sharks,
bungalows.
It always amazes me with these places, how clear the water is in these places. Man.
I know. I really want to go here. A lot of people go here for their honeymoon, especially like Tahiti and stuff. Also, I want to say I'm still a little bit confused on how to talk about this place, because it's like French Polynesia, but it's really the Polynesian islands, which kind of I think includes Hawaii in a way, and there's the Samoan, and then people say Tahiti. I don't know. Essentially, it's like there's the island of Samoa, the island of Tonga, the island of Tahiti, but essentially it's all Polynesian, and then the British own some of it and the French own some of it. So I'm just going to say Polynesian islands. And if you're from Polynesia, and if you want to correct me on anything, please reach out to me at my Instagram at culturecultshow, and just let me know how I can say this better. But I'm just going to say Polynesia. So I want to get into some fun facts. They have some cool facts. So according to travelboulevard.be, on Tahiti, you will meet men and women in the third sex. They're called mahu or ray ray. They're men who behave or dress like women. So I think that's so cool. So they're regarded as people who combine the best of male and female gender. Homophobia is uncommon in French Polynesia.
We love that.
We love it. I think it's so cool. It's kind of interesting how some countries are so like, we hate anyone who's not straight or whatever. And then you go to some countries, it's just like, oh yeah, So here they have the third sex in the island of Tahiti, which is so cool. Okay, I like this fact coming up. This is from foodandtravel.au. There are no poisonous snakes or insects in Polynesia.
Well, looks like that's where I'm moving.
Right?
Nothing poisonous? Great.
I know, right? It's because the islands are so remote and waterbound.
Insects too, right?
Insects and snakes. I know. I'm actually more excited about the insect part.
Same. I was like, because that includes spiders, right? Because
yeah. So nothing poisonous. I checked multiple sources, so I'm not just saying this. And because the islands are so remote, they're waterbound location, it's just no easy way for the animals to migrate there. So there's just not a lot of animals on a lot of these islands. So kind of be weird. It's kind of quiet out there. And then you'll like this third fact. Okay, super cute. It's from foodandtravel.au. The mailboxes outside the Tahitian homes are for French bread delivery, not for mail. I know.
I want that.
So residents get fresh loaf dropped off twice a day. But the only annoying thing is if you need to actually check your mail, you have to go to the post office. Like you have to go get in your car. But I love that. Like I feel like it's so cute to get fresh bread dropped off. I would be so fat.
Same.
And then, so the fourth fact, the famous honeymoon spot, Bora Bora, is actually being pronounced wrong. It's called Pora Pora. There's no B in the Tahitian alphabet. So this is from Tahiti.com. When settlers came, they misheard them and they just started saying Bora Bora when they went back to Europe. And they just started writing Bora Bora. And now we all say Bora Bora. But guys, it's called Pora Pora. It's not Bora Bora. Wow. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Things we learned.
I was going to ask, I was like, how did we get Bora if there's no B? But I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It's just like, you know what I've always wondered? This is a little off topic. When people just first met each other, how did we learn each other's language? Some people are speaking in like click tongues and some of us are like, bonjour, like,
Beats me.
I think that's so fascinating. But yeah, guys, it's called Pora Pora, not Bora Bora. And then the second last fact, the word tattoo came from Polynesia. The practice about 2,000 years old. We're actually going to do a whole section on this in the next episode because it's a huge part of their culture, but it's called tatau, Tatau. And that word practice is about 2,000 years old.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I feel like this is familiar looking.
Yeah, you definitely see. It's very, very, very popular.
One of the first pictures that comes up here is like The Rock.
So the last fact is from Travel Boulevard. And it says, Tahiti and her islands span an area as large as Europe. That's huge. The land above sea level covers, I'm going to say like some statistics. I don't really know how big this is, but 4,000 square kilometers consisting of 118 islands. So we all think of Tahiti, Samoa, Tonga, but there's 118 islands. Okay. And they're grouped into 5 groups: the Society Islands, the Tuamotu, the Austral Islands, the Marquesas, and the Gambiers. So there's a lot to discover there. I mean, this is a huge amount of space, no land borders. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like.
Also, confirm that The Rock is Polynesian.
He is. The Rock is officially Polynesian.
According to Wikipedia, which we
know.
But according to Wikipedia, it's on the map.
It's so remote. Like, look it on Google Maps.
Middle of nowhere.
Literally in the middle of nowhere. So keep that in mind when I'm about to tell you like how like these islands are formed and how people got there. It's just like, how did people get there? There's a lot of islands there, 118 apparently. So if we're talking about Tahiti, specifically the island Tahiti was formed out of volcanic activity around 1.4 million years ago. But it took a really long time for people to find all these islands. And there's 2 theories. First theory has the most evidence around 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So still like these islands have been around for about 1 million years. And people have just recently found it about 4,000 years ago. So anyways, people from Southeast Asia and Taiwan, that area, left due to overpopulation. They studied the wind, the moon, the stars. That's all they studied to find these new islands. They just studied nature. And somehow they found it and they traveled in canoes. So this quote is from archivehukulia.com. And this is going to be a technical breakdown of canoes. So if you're like an engineer freak, this is going to be perfect for you. So the voyaging was really remarkable because it's just done in canoes and built from tools of stone, bone, and coral. They were navigated without instruments, just the sun, moon, stars, by expert seafarers. And the canoe holes were dug out from tree trunks, made with planks sewn together. Cracks and seams were sealed with coconut fibers. An outrigger was attached with one single hole, and 2 holes were lashed together with cross beams. So essentially, it's kind of like how those pontoons are. You got like 2 canoes, and then you have one big sail in the middle. Yeah. And it looks like when there was no wind, they paddled, and when there was wind, they sailed. And so these canoes made such long voyages. They did about 2,000 miles, even through the longest route, which is from Tahiti to Hawaii. Like they just took off in these canoes. Insane to me. That confidence to like leave land and be like, "Hey guys, I promise you there's land out there." Like how would you know?
It's little stories like this that just makes me feel like an idiot.
Same.
Never.
Same. I can't even put an IKEA thing together. And these people are like, okay, let's build a canoe and let's go find land in the middle of the ocean looking at the sun. It's like
I'm trying to, sitting on my floor for hours reading directions on how to build a shelf.
Directions.
Like I'm reading directions.
I literally am an idiot. I have no problem saying it either. Well, these guys are known as the best seafarers. That's what they're known for. The second theory is actually really cool. So the second theory is either that South Americans sailed, not people from Southeast Asia, and found the islands, because there's a mixture of DNA in the Polynesians. And what's weird is they found a sweet potato from South America that's only from South America, but it's on these islands. So it's either South Americans came, but they really, really think, because the DNA is so Asian, that they found the islands and then they were like, that's enough exploring. And then they sailed from Tahiti to South America, brought the sweet potato back to Tahiti. They just have no problem taking on the ocean. So,
I mean, or both of them found the islands.
Maybe. But the thing is, like, most of the DNA it's from Asian. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But these guys are such seafarers. Like, I feel like they just like, let's just keep going.
That's true. They probably
like,
what's next?
I love the confidence. I definitely know I can't do open ocean.
Definitely. I can rule that out pretty quickly.
Yeah, no. I would never get on a canoe and just bound off into the
absolutely not
ocean. But essentially they live very remotely and relatively peacefully. I mean, they probably just fought within themselves between like about clan and land territory. But then around the 16th century, the Europeans arrived, as they do. And in 1521, Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan reached the Marquesas Island. Then the Spanish, the British, the Dutch, the French. And this is going to lead us into our story about the failed attempt of the HMS Bounty. But before we dive into that, I really want to introduce a really awesome educating podcast for all you history freaks out there. It's called Vulgar History. Enjoy.
Ever heard of the medieval English queen who used boiling beer and attack bees to successfully repel the Vikings? Or the princess in Renaissance Sweden who turned to a life of piracy? What about the 17th century Angolan princess who executed a man for daring to criticize her active sex life? These are just 3 women profiled on Vulgar History, a feminist women's history comedy podcast. My name is Anne Foster, and the goal of this podcast is to share the stories of history's most scandalous women, both those you've never heard of, as well as taking a new look at ones whose stories you thought you knew. Vulgar History is available on all podcasting platforms. Hope you take a listen.
Beer belly summer. I'm telling you.
We're back from break and we're talking about, we're not going to do hot girl summer. We're doing beer belly summer.
It's already summer. I have
it's done.
It's done. It's done. We can't go back now. Like
I have.
I don't, but it's probably going to happen at this point.
Okay, well, we're back from the trailer break, but let's get into our story. So today, we're covering the HMS Bounty and the strange island of Pitcairn. Have you heard of the island of Pitcairn?
No.
Okay, I was like, if you really don't know much about French Polynesia, you definitely this place is so weird. So to start off, I'm going to start with a quote from atlasobscura.com. And this is from the diary of the captain of the HMS Bounty. That's what the ship is called, the HMS Bounty. And the captain, question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm raising my hand.
I love it.
I want to interrupt you. So sorry, what did you say what year we're talking about?
I feel like this is going to be late 1700s. So imagine Pirates of the Caribbean vibes, men with long raggedy hair. And so kind of imagine that, golden age of pirates.
Golden age of pirates.
So imagine that. So yeah, definitely stop me if you have any questions. There's a few different kind of characters in here. So HMS Bounty is the ship. The captain is William Bligh. And this is his diary entry. We're going to start it off. It says, quote, "I'm now unhappily to relate one of the most atrocious acts of piracy ever committed. Fletcher Christian, who is going to be his master's mate," it's kind of like second at hand, Fletcher Christian then said, "Come on, Captain Bligh," or should I do it in a British accent? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yes.
He says, "Okay, I'll do it in
Always.
I'm going to do it in my best British accent. Come on, Captain Bligh. Your officers and men are now on the boat. You must go with them. If you attempt to make the least resistance, you'll instantly be put to death." And then, and then without further ceremony, this is now William writing, "Holding me by the cord that tied my hands with a tribe of armed ruffians around me, I was forced over the side of the boat. A few pieces of pork were now thrown to us, some cloths, also cutlasses, and we were at length cast adrift in the open ocean." That's his diary entry. So essentially,
terrifying.
Yeah, essentially he has guns to his head and they're like, "Get off the boat and get in this tiny boat." And they're in the middle of the ocean. So that's how we're starting the story. But who is Captain Bligh and why is he now stranded in the Pacific Ocean? And we talked how remote this place is. So he's in a situation. So William Bligh was born September. We're both September babies. So he's a Virgo. 1754. By age 7, he had already joined the Navy. So
I'm sorry. We need to back up. Age 7? How is that even like?
I'm sure he's like the toilet boy on a ship or something. He's like doing some manual work on a ship, bitch boy. He's a bitch boy.
I could see that. Like, he's cleaning or something. Or
they don't care back then. With the minute you're born, they're like, you're working. Off to work now. That's how it is back then. You got to go work in the Navy. So he's at age 7, he's working in the Navy.
It's like you try to think back and you're like, what the heck was I doing? Eating Go-Gurts or some shit? I don't know.
Eating Go-Gurts, watching Shrek. That's what I was definitely doing. And this dude is literally manning a ship. So William Bligh, he's already a badass. He's at age 7 on a ship. Age 22, jump ahead. He's joined Captain James Cook. Now this is a very famous captain. We're definitely be talking about him next episode too. He joined his famous voyage to Hawaii, where James Cook met his demise. So he was on this really big, adventure with James Cook to Hawaii. It's a very big voyage, and we're going to talk about that next episode. So this dude is in it already. So he's known to be an incredible sailor and navigator. In 1786, he takes command of the HMS Bounty, and he hires Fletcher Christian, the guy in the British accent in the beginning, as master's mate for the journey, with the specific goal to go to Tahiti and to collect and bring breadfruit seeds to Caribbean colonies for African slaves because it's cheaper and more nutritious. So we're at that Grace's face. She's like, good.
Good for him.
Good for them thinking about them like that. So we're at the golden age of slavery and piracy, just lawless, horrible things in open sea. So when the Bounty set sail, it's supposed to be a very peaceful trip. Everyone's starting off with high spirits because it's supposed to be just a chill trip to these islands. But the weather is so intense when they get around Cape Horn.
Right? Open ocean is the weather.
The weather.
Storm at sea.
Horrifying. And these guys are in a wooden ship, guys. This isn't even that cool because these ancient seafarers from Polynesia did this in 2 canoes and one in a sail. So again, humans are incredible. Like they're like 100-foot wave. I got a canoe. I'm fine.
This wave ain't got nothing on me.
I got nothing on me. Oh my God. Like, I don't understand that. So yeah, essentially they start this journey. They're around Cape Horn. Cape Horn's known for the worst place for a ship to be. It's always intense wave storms. So that they kind of takes them off course a little bit. So they're on the boat a little bit longer than they should have been. Half the boat is a greenhouse because they're going there to take breadfruit back. So it's more cramped than usual. Everyone's being pushed together. And while Captain William's a great navigator and one of the best cartographers in the world, he had a huge downfall. He was like a known abuser. He was a physical abuser. He was constantly flogging, which is very normal back then. So that's not that abnormal. But he is so bad with his verbal abuse that the British Navy court-martialed him. Like, how bad of an asshole do you have to be to your sailors, where the British Navy back in the 1700s be like, dude, you gotta not do that. Like, he's an abuser. Like, he's aggressive. mean. He's always thinking people are stealing from him constantly, paranoid. Someone's always stealing something. And so everyone's getting flogged. It's just not good vibes. Storms. The greenhouse is taking up the entire ship. So everyone's cramped. And then your captain's like so mean. So mean. So not good vibes. So can I keep that in mind? I don't want to be on this boat. Now imagine.
Any of these boats.
I know. Imagine like 7-8 months of this. Hell. And then you see these islands. You come upon Tahiti. You saw the water, crystal blue water, white sands. It's literally the background of like a Microsoft computer. Just beautiful. Like, and
the only good thing about this boat journey is getting back to land.
Literally. Literally. I mean, just imagine like that feeling of seeing these islands for the first time. And they see beautiful women. And they've been it's just been a bunch of like nasty men together for like 7 to 8 months and like some rats. So they see all these women and they're like, okay. And I'm sure these women are like, ew, like smelly men like coming off these boats. But they spend 5 months on these beautiful islands of Tahiti. I believe it's Tahiti. And they became so into the lifestyle. Some of them stopped wearing clothes and started dancing on the fire and like getting involved in the Polynesian.
I mean, that sounds great.
I know. I would do this exact same thing. I would strip immediately. I would just immediately. They're like, whoa, what are you doing?
You're like, oh, you don't have to wear clothes here?
Fuck yeah. A lot of them stopped acting like British sailors, is what I'm trying to say. Like, and this is pissing off Captain Bligh. And they get really into the women. They get like half of them pregnant. Fletcher Christian actually gets married to a Polynesian woman on the island. I mean, he goes super fast, 3 months in, he's like, let's get married. So he found a wife there. They're just acting like they're never going to leave this island. They're take off their clothes. They're having good times. But Captain Bligh is not having it. He's so pissed because he's like, y'all are not acting like you were employees at the British Navy. You're acting like this is a vacation. And so this is creating so much strain between the crew and the captain. But after 5 months of this pure bliss, he forced all of them back onto the ship to set sail for another year of cramped, disgusting quarters. You have to go back through Cape Horn. And now you have an even more pissed off captain than he usually is. It's just, no. So this just didn't sit right with Fletcher Christian because he just got married and he has a kid on the way, like, it's like, I don't want to leave. So he couldn't bear to be around Captain Bligh anymore. So they get back on the boat. They're a couple days out, I believe. And Fletcher Christian and Captain Bligh have a huge argument one night. And it just did not go well. And so that night, Fletcher was just tossing around in his bed and he's like, I'm done. So around dawn the next day, Captain Bligh was woken up by Fletcher Christian and 3 other men with rifles in his face. And he was dragged out of bed. They bounded his hands and they forced him onto a tiny 20-foot long boat in any other loyalist. And the boat was 20 feet long, only 6 feet wide. And they put 19 men on it. So it's barely sitting above water. It's literally a raft.
I don't know. I feel like this wouldn't go down well. Like if they went back to what were these people from England or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, we just like decided we didn't like our captain one day. And they'd be like, this is not how the Navy works, bro.
Oh no, they're technically outlaws as they're doing this.
Yeah. I'm like,
this is considered piracy.
When you get home.
Yeah. No. Well, that's the thing. Are they going to make it home? You're putting 20 people on a raft in the middle of nowhere. I'm sorry. The boat's barely sitting above water. I think that's his thought. It's like, y'all are not going to survive. Fletcher Christian's like, I'm going to leave y'all to go to your death. Here's some beer, a couple cutlasses.
How nice of them. Oh, we'll be fine.
He's like, thank you for the pork. He's like, you got beer.
Also, like pork. How are you
salted pork? Salted.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry. It's like a fresh luau pig. It's like sitting on someone's lap. It's like hot.
Pig.
Crispy barbecue pig. So no, they get salted pork. I mean, they technically have all the things they need to survive, but it's really like the psychology of this. You have no space. You don't know where you are, but then they do have the captain. So yeah, Fletcher Christian and all these men at this point are technically outlaws, And imagine the situation. Everyone's being like pushed to like, you're a loyalist or not. Are you staying on the boat or are you getting on this boat? You have like 20 seconds to decide. Guns in your face. What do you decide? What are you choosing?
I am staying on the big boat.
Me too. Sorry, British Navy. Nothing personal. I'm definitely not getting on the canoe that's about to go into the middle of the ocean. No, thank you. And these guys are probably going to die. So they might never find out that we did this. And let's just go back to Tahiti. We're like, woo. We're Team Fletcher right now. So we would be outlaws. But now what's going on in this tiny little canoe? So they're so lucky because they're floating into the water, no land in sight. They're so lucky they have Captain Bligh because he's one of the best navigators in the world. And he knew he had to get them to land somehow. So they floated about 4,000 miles in violent storms. Somehow the boat didn't like combust. I don't know how, or flood. They reached another Tahitian island though. But the locals were so violent when they arrived. They attacked them and they beaten one of the sailors to death. So they were like, let's get back on the boat. They do have one less person. So a little more legroom, you know. So Captain Bligh had to make a really hard decision. They were going to have to keep their wits together and try to aim for the Dutch East Indies, a British colony, which was another 1,000 miles away. And they're running out of food, definitely running out of water. And they, again, the space of it all. They were at sea for about a month. They definitely didn't get to move. People were talking about the cramps of their legs were like the most miserable thing because they couldn't stand up. They couldn't move. And they could barely eat or drink because Captain Bligh was very strict on that. He was very good at rationing. And so, but through his navigation skills, he got them to the Dutch East Indies.
Woo!
That's insane. So this is one of the most amazing feats in naval history is this exact thing that Captain Bligh did, getting these people to the Dutch East Indies on this canoe with little bit of food, nowhere, no map, nothing. Just, it's so insane. So insane. So eventually he transported the breadfruit seeds. I guess he took some seeds with him to Jamaica and he lived his whole life with great accomplishment with the British Navy. So it worked out for him.
Right.
Go him. But so what happened with the mutineers? So now it's just Fletcher's men and some Tahitians from the original islands and the HMS Bounty, the original boat. And they're all in foreign land. And now the Royal Navy's hunting them to kill them for treason because Captain Bligh survived and he definitely told them what happened, you know, and he was like, these guys kicked me off and now are just sleeping with women in Tahiti. Like, you know, so mutineers tried to stay on the original island. Oh, it's Tubai. Sorry, not Tahiti, Tubai. But they were unsuccessful and half the group split up to find another island. The men that stayed on Tubai were eventually somehow found by the Royal Navy and taken back to England. And then they were publicly hung. So that didn't work out.
So remember when they were going to stay in a big boat?
I know.
Actually, no, I'd still stay on the big boat.
I still would stay on the big boat. But that sucks is like you have to get back on a big boat to go back to England to get hung. Like they didn't hang him there. I think they took him back to England. So you're waiting 6-7 months knowing you're going to your death. That's like a mental torture.
Jump off the boat at that point. Be like,
okay, I'm just going to swim back to Tubai.
Swim back to the islands. Actually.
Oh my God. Yeah. These guys just loved it there so much. They literally risked it all.
I feel like here's the thing. I feel like, you know, if it were me, you've been on this island for a little bit, you know, you're friends with all the people and the Royal Navy comes back and they're like, give us all the, you know, English people back. We're going to go hang them. I would be like to my, you know, island friends, I'd be like, yo guys, help a gal out. All right. Let's hide me until they get bored of looking for me. And then they'll leave and then I can stay here forever.
Ideally, but think about you as a native person. It's like, you decided to come here. Okay. And I don't want to fight the Navy.
The Navy's probably guns. Like, I'm going to kill all of you unless you give us all the English people.
Yeah. These people don't have guns. The people on the islands. Or you know what I would do? I would be like, okay, guys, you can take me back to England. But while you're here, can I just show you the good time on this island? We throw the biggest, baddest party that you've ever seen. I turned their minds. They're now mutineers. We're all living on this island. I convinced them. I'm going to brainwash them because I'm like, okay, seriously, think about it. How much do you really love living in England? How much do you really love the cold rain? How much do you really love being on these boats all this time? Look at these women. Look at the pigs on the fire pits. Do you really want to go back? That's what I would do. Convince them.
I feel like it wouldn't even be that difficult.
It wouldn't be that hard. Like, look around, guys. Do we really want to go back to England and hang me?
You don't have to go back on your boat.
Ew.
Which is already, honestly, that's all you really need to say. But
yeah,
it's like, look at this island. Look at this place.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're close.
I feel like at least a couple people would be like, you know, he's not wrong. I could turn a couple people, I feel like. That's my game. But it didn't work out. They got taken back to England and hung. So the Royal Navy was not messing around. So that was half the group. So the other half that left that island to buy, the Royal Navy never found them. Fletcher and the rest of the group found this tiny rocky volcanic island named Pitcairn to settle on. And that's where they stayed. They never were found again. So jump to 1808. An American whaling vessel was sailing by and they saw smoke coming from what looked like to be an abandoned island. And there they found a small community of people led by one sole survivor of the mutineers named John Adams. And these people on this island besides John were just shocked because they've never even seen a ship before. That's how remotely they've been living. They're like, whoa, what is that? And John's the only one left of the mutineers. So he's like an old man, I'm sure. They actually called him father of the island. Yeah. Interesting. Sounds culty, but so yeah, after the original mutineers settled on Pitcairn, there was a lot of stripes and they, for some reason, burned down the HMS Bounty. I'm like, guys, don't you want to leave at some point? Like, so they burned it down. Or I guess it was definitely so the Navy doesn't find them. That's exactly what it is. Because it's pretty obvious that there was an abandoned British ship. So the HMS Bounty is now like I think it's definitely in the ocean next to Pitcairn. And everyone just kind of died off except for John Adams. Again, he became known as Father Island. But yeah, I mean, like it worked out for Fletcher Christian and his crew. It actually worked out for them. They didn't get found. They got to stay there. He got to be with his wife, his kids. And now they have like Pitcairn. It's all the people on this island of Pitcairn today are descendants of the original Tahitians and the original mutineers that first came from that island of Tubai. And
that's wild.
It's weird. So it isn't part of French Polynesia. It's actually a part of the British Commonwealth. Only about 50 to 100 people live there.
Small town.
Yeah, that's no. I think I work with 50 people. I'm not want to be on an island just them. I would go crazy. So they're all descendants from the mutineers, original Tahitians that came with them. This is modern day stuff. Okay, barely any electricity. They have one school with about 5 kids. The closest hospital is New Zealand. So I'm not sure how you would get to a hospital.
You cannot get sick.
You cannot.
Sorry.
Yeah, COVID cannot happen in here. The police and the doctors, they recruit like one police and maybe a doctor, or maybe a dentist a year to go to work there. So I heard like the locals kind of get upset about that because they get bonded with these people and then they just leave. So it's just like a new doctor, new policeman a year. It's just so remote. The only way you can leave the island is when a boat comes from New Zealand 4 times a year. So seasonally.
Okay, what if you need to go to the hospital?
I think they do have a radio system. So I think they can fly a helicopter out there. But I think it's like, you got to wait for the helicopter. You got to wait for the helicopter to get to New Zealand. You cannot have anything dire. Like you're going to die in 15 minutes.
I mean, at least there's no poisonous snakes.
That's what I'm saying. There's no poisonous snakes or bugs. So there you go, guys. So that's Pitcairn. I got that from a lot of this information from this really cool podcast called Extremities. I think that's what it's called. And they interviewed people from Pitcairn. And yeah, just like no one's on there. So strange. Yeah. And I think they're doing a little bit of tourism, but apparently it's really hard to get to these islands. The boat trip from another island is a long boat trip. It's a small boat and the waves are apparently so intense getting there. Like if you're seasick, it's not fun to get to this island. So yeah, that's Pitcairn. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. It's just like a weird story of like why there is an island of Pitcairn today. So what did you think of the story?
I mean, I very much enjoyed this story. I still don't understand how anybody just like gets on a boat and does anything like this.
I know.
I mean, it must have been nice, like, you know, finding these islands, being like, wow, you know, it was worth the journey or whatever, but because they're beautiful. You know, I haven't been, but like the pictures at least are.
I'm just amazed in general how people got to these islands in the first place. And then just the fact that when people see this place, they just think it's pure paradise, and it is. And these people like risk their lives. They risk everything. They're like, yeah, I'm dropping my job. I'm dropping my homeland. I'm never going back. I don't care that I'm going to be probably killed for this. I want to stay here. That's a testament to how beautiful this place is. Also, I'm just amazed at Captain Bligh, like as a professional person. I'm not a professional. Like I would be like, okay, bye job. But this guy was so serious about his job. He's like, guys, we are here for a reason. The breadfruit seeds. Like he never took off his clothes. He never mated with the women. He was bread seed first. Breadfruit first. And even after all that, after being stuck on that tiny boat, somehow getting them to the Dutch East Indies, he still decided to keep his naval career, go all the way to Jamaica, deliver the bread seeds. Just professional. He might be a really bad boss, but he's a professional.
He gets his work done.
He's an HR violation, but he is going to get the work done. He's going to scream at you, but he's loyal.
I mean, that's what, happens when you've been on boats since you were 7.
Literally
Turn out to be a nice person.
Yeah, no, he's not a lovely person at all. Like, 7. Come on.
And like on those boats, like those grimy,
rat infested boats. He's pissed. He's just pissed.
He's not a happy guy.
I wonder if he's like even really been around that much women. So I guess maybe like when they did get around all the men were freaking out. I wonder if he was like, insecure. Yeah. What if he's like a little insecure? Cause he's just like, I'm not used to being on land this long, interacting with people. He's
only talk to the rats.
I only talk to the rats and the breadfruit. I don't know. I don't want to just like say like, oh, Fletcher Christian, good on you. Cause like you did just push 20 people onto a boat to their death pretty much. So
but shout out to those 19 people or whatever who stuck with the captain.
I know,
like
loyal. I'm not. I'm gonna stay on the boat. Like you're crazy. Honest to God, real life situation, I always miss everything big that ever happens. I always miss it. I feel like I would have been in the bathroom the whole time. I swear to God, that would have happened to me. I would have come out and be like, whoa, where's the captain? I just see them on the boat in the far distance.
Like in the bathroom, and then you come out and you're like, what the fuck happened, guys? I'm
like, whoa, that coffee hit me. I'm like, whoa. He's like, I'm your captain now. I'm like, cool.
Like, great, but what I miss.
Like, you're officially a pirate. I'm like, oh, cool. Works out for me. Like, that literally would happen to me. I would miss the whole thing. But I did want to end up something about thinking about this place as a paradise, because honestly, no blame to Fletcher Christian. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, I'm staying here. But around the 1960s, people just started flooding, like artists, and a lot of Europeans started coming to Tahiti specifically, because they're like, this is the most beautiful place in the world. This is paradise. And so they just started like making it over touristy, and they started just writing about it as this most perfect place. Everyone needs to come. And so this flood of a European interest came. They created the first bungalows. And I'm not sure if it's like an issue. I'm just saying, like, when we visit these islands, yes, it's paradise. Yes, it has all these resorts and stuff, but let's also keep in mind there's people here. This is their culture. This is their land. Let's not just take Instagram photos and be like, me. I think suggesting doing a homestay there, trying the local food, or getting to know people. I feel like that's what happens to these destination places like Hawaii, Cancun, all these places that are so beautiful. We ruin it. We make it about ourselves. Look at me, half naked on the side of this bungalow. Me. Meanwhile, who are all the people working to provide for you? It's all people from that land, So I'm just saying, let's keep in mind, I've been on a cruise ship before. It's fun. It's really fun. But think of ways that when we go to these places of paradise, like how can we get invested in the culture? And, my personal opinion, it's just, found it really annoying when I look up French Polynesia, how it's just people half naked sitting in like bungalows. I don't get to learn about the culture very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, the French government like took over the Polynesia like a couple hundred years ago. They do have a royal family, but the French government doesn't recognize them. It's kind of messed up. So I know they've lost a lot of identity to Europeans, the European missionaries. And I just want to make sure we don't lose the identity to now tourism. So let's just be mindful and get excited about the culture when we visit these places. It is a paradise, but it's not your paradise. It's their paradise and you're visiting. And you can have a good time. You could definitely go to the resorts, but I don't know. But what's been your favorite thing you learned today? I like the bread one, the little bread mailboxes.
I do love that. That was definitely.
It's so cute.
I love the bread mailboxes.
We both love bread too. So like
love bread. We love bread mailboxes. I think that's true. I think everybody should be doing that.
Oh my God. You can't have a bad day.
And then the fun fact about there being no poisonous snakes and insects.
I love that. I can relax.
Yeah.
I can be in the jungle and not be like, oh my God.
You see a snake and you're like, sup, bro?
Sup, snake? Can I pick you up? I love snakes when they're not poisonous.
I mean, it might still bite you, but you know you're not going to die, you know?
Yeah. I just love learning about these voyages on the sea. I think it's my favorite thing. It's just like what humans could do. Certain humans, not me. Definitely not me. But I'm mostly impressed with the Polynesian people, how they got out there thousands and thousands of years ago with no maps and no tools. Insane. So essentially it's like a 2-part episode. So we're going to really dive into more Tahitian culture, Tahitian tattoos, tattoos next episode and why it's so important to them. But I think the HMS Bounty is such a crazy story. Definitely look up Pitcairn Island, listen to some podcasts or watch YouTube on it. It's so weird. It's such a strange island. So next episode, I'm so excited about the next episode. This story is absolutely definitely not told. This story just told is pretty famous. You can watch a lot of documentaries on it. The next story is about a Tahitian man. Well, I'm going to say Polynesian man named Mai, who met Captain Bly's boss, Captain James Cook. And he jumped ship with him to go to England to spread a very important message. But when he got to England, everyone thought he was a prince. So it's kind of a Pocahontas story. But it's like the coolest story. So this whole theme of these episodes are 2 worlds colliding. The first episode's Europeans coming, seeing the paradise, risking it all to live there. And now we have someone from Polynesia who is jumping ship to go to England.
Also, like shock. Like all of the story about like the ship and stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, some Polynesian man decided to get on one of those boats.
Well, it's in his blood though to be on the sea. I don't think. Well, he went on the boat for a very specific reason. He has a delivered message to the king. Yeah. It's such a good story. I've tried to watch documentaries on it. There's nothing on it. There's only a couple articles and 1 book on it. So it's such a good story. I can't wait to share it. So essentially 2 worlds meeting again, but in a different way. We're going to get a completely different perspective. But yeah, I just wanted to thank y'all for all your listens and love this season. Feel free to message me on Instagram at culturecultshow or share your favorite episode with someone, or spread the word, or do like a rating. That would be awesome, or a review. But yeah, we're kind of wrapping up on this last season. And if you wanted to get secret episodes or exclusive post talk, like if you sign up for the cult membership today, I would send you all the secret episodes I've sent out. And so sign up in the show notes. But yeah, thank you, Gravy, for coming on.
So happy to be here.
If you're a cult member, check in for the post talk with me and Grace. We're going to read out some personal questions from Question of the Day. We love question of the day. But essentially, if you are a cult member, check out the quick 10-minute post talk with me and Grace. We're going to read out some questions from Question of the Day. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear about the next Polynesian episode. So I will see y'all then. Cheers, y'all.
Bye.